All right, here we go. We're back on it. Peace and blessings, Akashic Living family. I'll call you Soul family. Thank you so much. We got another one today. We got another special guest. Every time I say it's special. I say it's special. I don't say it in jest. I mean it. I mean it. We have one today, a friend of mine who, I recently went through my teacher meditation training. And when you go through trainings like this, you have the opportunity to meet folks from all over the world. And what's interesting is I always say there's no such thing as a coincidence, right? You meet people that you have maybe made an agreement to meet before time and space even began. You're naturally just kind of connected to that person. You share a lot of common interests. And that's the case with our guest today. I'm honored to be able to bring you Miss Clementine Saintoul Colombres. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I hope I got it right. I hope I got it right. But no, Clementine is an awesome friend. And of course, like I said, I met her through meditation teacher training. And what's interesting is that she is joining us from the south of France right now. So just to give you a heads up, if there's a little issue with the technology, don't worry. We'll fix that. And, she'll join us if there's a little gap or something like that. But before we get started, let me just give you a little background on Clementine, which is why I was so impressed with her. She's an actress, a director, an author, a singer, and professional stage teacher for over 20 years. She trained in Paris in different courses and abroad. And of course, she's living in the south of France where she moved to create ethical artistic company called La Mescla. She's performed various shows on stage. She recorded radio dramas for Radio France, and she lent her voice to dubbing and commercial. She is all over the world doing workshops. Her latest text is called The Traveler. I would not dare try to say that in French. I don't know how it would come out. She has another one, Antigone, Renaissance and Rebirth, which were published in some major publications. She directs the artistic project. Uh, Clementine, how do I say this? See, La Mezcla?
Company.
Company La Mezcla, right? So this is her theater company, which aims to create a new social cultural diversity at the heart of the artistic project beyond usual habits and prejudices. So a lot of our conversation today, we're going to discuss diversity and inclusion in theater. We're going to discuss that both here in the United States as well, things that we see with diversity and inclusion, and just have a really cool conversation with us to chop it up about spirituality and all things about creating spaces for just a higher way of living. So, without further ado, Clementine, blessings to you. Thank you so much for joining the show. How are you, my sister?
Thank you to inviting me here. It's my first time talking in New York City. I'm very happy to be there, and yeah, it's very nice to be able to meet like that, and you know, to go beyond the difference and the geography. So,
Mm,
thank you.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I would be remiss. I'd be a bad steward if I didn't tell you. So I'm outside of Philly, about an hour away from Philly. And so we're at the point now where American football has kicked off. The football season has kicked off, right? And so my team is the Philadelphia Eagles, and New York has two teams, the Giants and the Jets. The Jets, we don't mind, but the Giants, we don't mess with them too much. So I'm a Philadelphia fan, and big ups to also my people here that from Reading, Pennsylvania, as well as where I am. I was born. So definitely, thank you so much. A pleasure and honor to have you here. Such a interesting, Clemson. You got such an interesting background. I know you're in France now. Um, in our conversation, you talked about just experiences growing up because you didn't always live in France. Can you just share what your childhood and your upbringing was like, and how you got to the space where you are today? Take us back to the roots, to the beginning.
So, the roots. Well, I was born in Ecuador in South America, but I was born in the dictatorship. And this moment, my parents were human rights defenders, and my mother was French because she's died. She died now, and she was French, and my father is Argentinian.
Hmm.
So I began with three countries, three
Hmm.
nationalities. Well, and but the military forces wanted to kill them because, well, because of their work, and they were working to protect the Indian cultures and Indian
Mhm.
tribes, and so that's why they had so much problems,
Mhm.
because generally the governments don't want really people to talk about that.
Mhm.
And so my father had to escape to Mexico, and my mom was pregnant. I was there, and she stayed in Quito, in Ecuador.
Mhm.
And when a few months after that, my French grandmother came from France to take me back to France, because it was
Mhm.
very a violent situation, and waiting for my parents to be back, and but for me there was never really happy hand, because my father had to wait a few years before coming back to Argentina after a dictatorship, and
Mhm.
my mother stayed uh, some years in Ecuador, and after that she came back to France, and but she
Mhm.
wasn't able to live with me because of the trauma, and it was
Mm.
very difficult. And so I lived with my French grandmother,
Okay.
first in Paris, and after that in the south of France, because my French grandfather is from south and my French grandmother is from north of
Okay.
France. So they speak French, but with differences,
Correct.
and well, I've been living there in the south, and after that, when I was about 10, I came back to Paris, living with my mom, trying to connect with her and
Mhm.
to create something in our relationship. But the truth is that it was very, very difficult, because it was
Mhm.
very sad situation, and the heroes always want justice to be back,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
for us there were no happy end,
Mhm.
and it's very difficult to accept that, and it's
Mhm.
very difficult when you have so much knowledge, when you have social knowledge, when you are in some truth,
Mhm.
and like in the movies, you want the happy end, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's not like that in the real life for human right defender heroes,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so much friends of my family were, so it was very difficult for them too, or they were dead directly because of dictatorship, so it was like, as a child, I had to understand what, I had to live understand
Mhm.
everything, no, but I had to live with very special life, and beginning with something very difficult, and
Yeah.
beginning with so much questions about diversity, because I had so much problems with immigration, because I
Mhm.
was French, but after that, in France, when I was 18, they wanted to exile me, saying that I was not French anymore, because I was born in Ecuador and my father was Argentinian. So
Mhm.
they decided I couldn't stay in France anymore, but I didn't had another identity, and I
Yeah.
stayed like that like 2 years,
Wow.
and it was very difficult, because the police told me, well, you're I was nothing,
Mm.
and I had to stay home, and I couldn't work, and I couldn't vote,
Oh, wow.
and they didn't want me, and they didn't want to give me another citizenship, because I was already French,
Correct.
and you can't take off the citizenship, or if you're some you can do that if you're, if I'm creating war, but
Mm.
so I was like, they didn't know what to do with me again.
Yeah. Kinda like in between of
Yeah,
that.
the
Yeah.
first time, I was like, I knew exile from South America to France, I stayed there, and after
Mhm.
that, waiting like 20 years, and this moment the friends tell you, no, I don't want you, and you have to come back, and I felt, why, I'm nothing
Yeah.
here, I'm nothing
Mhm.
here. and I understood what it is to be alone in front of
Mm-hmm.
administration, of laws, of I've no my family, my friends. I've lost everybody in this
Mm-hmm.
moment because they didn't want to hear my story, and they said, no,
Wow.
it's not true, Clem, it's not true. And they didn't want to hear the reality, this reality. They didn't want to hear it. And after that, I was changed because I was already an actress, because I began very young, and I really wanted to be on stage because I had so much things to say.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to. They didn't want to hear me, but I didn't want to shut up. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, being on stage was like, okay, no, I have to speak, because it's not just for me, it's for
Correct.
millions of people, just with me. And I had so much education, and I had the chance to be able to speak and to write, and that's not the case of the majority.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking about immigration,
Correct.
so much people even don't know the new language, or
Mm-hmm.
they can't do that. I could do that, but it was the beginning of a big artistic and spiritual journey, to say,
Yeah.
how can I go, uh what how can I avoid the
Mm-hmm.
taboo. I
Okay.
the taboo is very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And but I didn't want to generate anger,
Mm.
but it was very
Yeah.
difficult for me because I was full of anger and hatred sometimes, because when everybody tell you, okay, you can go off like that, you're a piece of shit, is what you feel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you have no justice with you. And it was the second time, because I've left my parents and all
Mm.
my history, and and you try to build your life again, and boom, and second time, and you feel, no, it's not possible.
Yeah.
I'm not. I have to. I have to create something very strong for me
Mm-hmm.
to give sense. To
Yeah.
give sense to my life. I don't have to be a victim, because there's nobody here to help me. People don't want to to hear that. They don't want
Yeah.
to help. It's very difficult. So I felt I had to be a professional of difference
Mm.
or nothing.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. I mean, you think about it. It's interesting that during the time that you were in your mother's womb is when your parents were activists, right? So it would be only be fitting that you come out and have a voice and have something to say, because your body, you're being developed in an environment where people are speaking up about humanity, about equality, about these very important social issues that are life or death. And so for you to pass through all of that, I mean, you were destined to come here to have a voice and to lend uh, a visual, if you will, for things that I guess are unseen. Because as you were in your mother's womb and growing and maturing, you didn't necessarily see all the stuff that was happening, right? But you were actually creating your voice in that context, in that environment. And so here you are on stage now, you know, acting, producing, directing, and still carrying that mantle for diversity and equality and inclusion and just human rights overall. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. I want to go back. Did you have an opportunity to uh well, how were things with your parents? I mean, you said you went to Paris and you were able to, to connect with your mom. How was that whole process? That's a traumatic
Well, it was
experience to
very
go through.
difficult because and that's why I'm learning so much now about health, because when you want to take a special place in the social struggle,
Mhm.
you have to know how to protect yourself in a
Mm.
energetic, emotional way. And generally, these persons don't know.
Mm.
So you want to speak, you're doing things, but the shadow, when you want to put light in a big shadow,
Yeah.
you receive so much negativity, because so much people don't want you to change that, you know
Mhm.
and you have to know how to protect yourself, and to give you positive energy. And
Mhm.
generally, people, political, you know generally, they don't know that. My parents didn't know nothing about that, and my
Mhm.
mother were was totally destroyed, and she died when she was 58 from
Mm.
a very chronic disease, and because of stress.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to hear about healing, because
Mhm.
for she was like a hero, and the hero don't have to feel the pain,
Mm.
never.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it was my education, but I began to feel problems, to have problems of health problems,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
I decided to learn so much about healing, because I
Yeah.
wanted first to help my mother. And all my life, I felt I could do that, because I had chosen a way, a place. Theater is the place where emotions are possible.
Yeah.
In the struggle of my mother, there was no emotions. It's like you
Mm.
have to be strong in the war,
Correct.
and you have to be strong in the war. You
Correct.
can have emotions. You're dead.
Mhm.
And I know that reality. And I decided, to, I thought, what could I do to avoid destruction? Because one thing is I want to be present in the social evolution,
Mhm.
but on the other hand, I don't want to. I don't feel, if I don't think violence it's something good for me,
Mhm.
and I want to know, to learn how to protect myself, and that's why
Yeah.
I've made all a spiritual journey. And that's why now, I'm in this meditation program with you. And
Mhm.
because if you want to do things in a real world and difficult world, it's important to learn how to do that, not
Correct.
to hurt you.
Yeah.
And that's why, for me, majority of people don't want to change things,
Mhm.
because always you have the pattern of the hero suffering
Yeah.
so much, but it's the life of the hero, and it never speaks about pain or suffering.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
you are in the family,
Yeah.
everybody is totally destroyed. That's the reality,
Mhm. Yeah.
so I felt, I didn't want to be a coward,
Mhm.
but you know I'm not very, seeing a hero suffering and sacrifice, making this kind of sacrifice, and I know what the sacrifice is.
Yeah.
I don't really know, because my mother felt very bad about, she because she lose myself, she lose
Mm.
my
Yeah.
relationship.
It cost her a
And
lot.
it's so much, and you don't come back from that. And she died very young, and she
Yeah.
didn't want to talk about that. She didn't
Mm.
want to talk about that. And my job is to talk about that,
Yeah.
because I know that I'm saving lives just talking, because I know the power of words and emotions. That's
Mhm.
my job. And the energy of emotions, and the energy of the words, and
Yeah.
now they can measure it in science, it's not just I'm talking.
Mhm.
It has a real energetic power, and I know that. I feel that, I know that perfectly, because it's my job, and I'm working with that all day long. But
Yeah.
in my everyday life, I see all this invisible, energy is blocked.
Yeah.
And I feel when you can tell things, but you without violence,
Hmm.
you can resolve so much problems. But it's not so easy to talk about violence without violence. And for me,
Mm.
that's the point. That's what I'm trying to learn and to do and to teach now.
Hmm. Hmm. Trying to shift the paradigm, shift that entire paradigm. What a powerful story. I mean, to go back, I mean, for your mother, for your parents in general, to go through all of that, I mean, is amazing. And I can understand how when you go through all the trauma and then you're kind of locked into a state of survival, right? You have the healing, how important the healing aspect comes into play to be able to heal some of those old wounds. It's not easy for everyone to go through that. So, salute to you for having the recognition, right? It's funny. I think there's I think it's Bruce Lipton that talks about it, epigenetics, and how trauma can be passed along for up to like 13 generations, right? And some of those same wounds that your parents incurred, fighting for human rights, those wounds can be passed along to next generations, and for you to have the awareness that, hey, you know what, there's some things that I want to heal about myself and protect, different aspects of myself from things that may hurt you, may inflict trauma. So salute to you for having the awareness of that. But I also found it interesting is that, you were saying how your mother didn't want to talk about certain things. And here you are now, like you have such a huge voice, right? And not only are you speaking for yourself, but then you infuse that energy through different characters, right? I mean, so people can see different perspectives. Talk about, just the work that you're doing, or even from there, before we can get to the work, like when was the first time that you realized that you had a gift to be able to, bring life to different characters? What did that look like?
A gift. Well, you're talking about mm, feeling that you're different.
Mm, mm.
Well, before a
So it didn't
theater.
feel like a gift initially. It didn't feel like a gift initially. It was just kind of like, oh, I'm weird. Like I'm
No,
different.
no. The reality is that I don't remember me one day thinking, "Oh, it's happening something," but I remember that I've always seen the reality. What I see,
Hmm.
you know, what is very simple to see for me. So much people can't see it. So
Mm.
when I was a child, it was like, uh, I've, for me, the silence is speaking so much,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've some kind of link with what. That's why I love to put words,
Yes.
because it's like I listen to the silence
Hmm.
and I know um what are the words who want to, like a door. They are
Yeah.
like that. I want to open the door, and I open the door and I say, oh, there's a word he want to tell you that, because in everyday life, every person, when I was a child, I was looking at my family, or people, and they were trying to tell me things, and I
Hmm.
saw what they wanted me to understand, but I
Okay.
also, uh, I've always seen what they didn't want me to know,
Ah.
and that they wanted to protect me, or that
Uh-huh.
I was seeing their dreams, and
Mm.
their, all you don't want to say because you feel you ridiculous, and you
Yeah.
say, well, I can't be that, it's the past, it's not for me, that
Mhm,
kind of things.
mhm.
And
Like clairvoyant.
I've always felt people like, I feel what they can do, their talents, and I feel um the pain,
Mhm,
and all the stories, because for the majority of people,
mhm,
uh, we have heard all our lives, you can't do that, it's not for you. Oh
mhm.
yeah, you don't have money, and why, and it's, no, it's strange, and every time you want to change something, because you feel like a call and something very natural,
Correct.
and what they call reality come back saying, no, 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 that's not for you, that's ridiculous, you won't do that, it's not for you,
Mhm.
na 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 na. And it's something I saw very, it's very deep, this reality is very deep inside.
Uh-huh.
And every time I saw somebody, I felt, I wanted to tell him, oh no, you have to do that, you can you I wanted to talk about the invisible word, the
Yeah.
and it's like, so it's my way to see reality, to see
Mhm.
people. And that's why it's not so easy, because for me it was very normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't really understand why it could be a problem, well, as a child, because asking questions directly, say, oh, why are you not doing that job, because I know that I think that you would be great in. And
Yeah.
the other one, crying, say, how do you know that, I want you to do that. And
Yeah.
I didn't understand that, I was generating,
You're tapping
crisis.
in.
and
Mhm.
and because I didn't know to, for me it was very obvious there was no problem in this, and I
Mhm.
had to understand why it was so strange for people to hear that, because for me it's very natural. like
Correct.
like I see your head and your color of
Mhm.
skin, and
Mhm.
for me it's the same, it's
Mhm.
obvious. So I didn't understand, it's like, I tell you, well, I see your shirt,
Mhm.
and you won't cry if I tell you, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah.
my yellow shirt, it's obvious. And for me
Mhm.
it's the same. So I've always had this problem, and in
Mhm.
my everyday life it's always the same, because, well, I'm working in art, so it's a place of sensitivity, and we are working so much on invisible. But I'm in, but not really, everybody's not like me.
Mhm.
Like, I feel my evidence is very deep, and that's why I want to be a teacher in meditation, things like that, because I
Mhm.
feel I have some connection with the dream of the souls,
Ah.
you know and for me it's very, when I decided to be an artist, it was very difficult, because generally everybody tell you that's not a job.
Correct.
What is your real job? And
Mhm.
moreover, I had no money. I had problems with immigration.
Mhm.
I was a woman. I'm still. And you can work so much. It's very difficult with the production, and I didn't want to be. I didn't. I was intelligent, and I didn't want just to be a nice image to get money and say, ha, I'm an actress.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
not this person. I came back from dictatorship. I was here to say things and to help people. And
Correct.
but it was difficult because I had no money. It was not my. I had no friends here. I didn't know. It was
Yeah.
not my parents and my grandparents had no money. That were work. That were social work. That were like serving people. They. My mother was the first woman in my family to go to school,
Oh, wow.
and she did everything in one generation, because she studied so much, and she was very, very brilliant. And
Yeah.
it's like everything exploded very quickly,
Mhm.
and so much energy here
Yeah.
to change, to generate evolution. And when you want to be an artist, you feel so, it's complicated, because
Mhm.
in your everyday life the majority of people don't want to talk to you, and there are so much prejudice,
Mm.
so prejudice for being a woman, from a
Mhm.
social reality, immigration, everything, and moreover I was like a little strange, because I was like, hi, how are you? I see invisible word. It was too much difference, to
Mhm.
explain to. So I in a moment I thought, well, I want to, I want to change my reality because I have so much experience about the this. It's very difficult to be different, and the
Yeah.
more you have differences, the more people will be strange with you,
Mm.
and you have to be very strong to stay here if you want, if you think it's your place, because you have to stay like that, and you don't have to lose hope,
Mm-hmm.
because it's your place. If you think it's your place, it's your place, because everything in your heart and your soul is just saying it's for you, and you know that
Yes. Yes.
deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm a professional artist now for 25 years, and I'm very happy because it's like a big struggle, because yeah, the majority of people here uh, come from social realities very different from mine.
Mm-hmm.
know? So I'm always with people. I have the knowledge and have to live as I have to live with very different people. And when I come back home, I don't have the comfort they have. I don't speak about just the house for me, no matter, but I'm speaking about the time you have and the money you have without doing
Mm-hmm.
nothing, because
Yeah.
you have friends can help you, give you money, power, and that's the reality when you want to go to be on top of your job
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have help, social help. It's difficult to be to go on.
To get to that status, yeah, to
Yeah,
get to that level.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
No,
that's why healing, meditation, and these things are very powerful, because uh, you can do it for free in your home,
that's
and
right.
it gives you so much personal power,
That's right.
to focus and don't lose your your personal journey.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you were talking about this in many respects. It seems like you were saying and being empathic, being clairvoyant, being
Yeah,
able to identify people's energies, how they're feeling, but also being able to tap into that stream of consciousness of what they really, what they really want to say, or what their intentions truly are. What their intentions truly are. And it's weird because everybody got a gift, right? And we talked about, you talked about people maybe looking at you sideways because she's she can feel energy, or she's seeing things, maybe seeing different types of energies all around. But everybody has a gift, right? And can we normalize a world where everybody recognizes that they have a certain gift, or gifts that were already given to them, and that having or utilizing those gifts don't make you weird. In fact, it probably is weird that you don't know what yours are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody should go on that inward journey, or remember how you were when you were a child, where it was just intuitive. It was just a part of you, how you moved throughout the world, how you showed up. I remember being a little kid, and I would see energy. And I know I couldn't say too much, right? I'd see it and I'd be like, yeah, okay. And then now as an adult, I understand what that is, but that's a gift. And I don't think as kids are necessarily taught to identify or even feel comfortable in having those gifts and cultivating them at a younger age. So with my kids, I try to be mindful of, their if I see the talents, the gifts that they have, and they're both completely different, but to identify them and allow them to feel comfortable in exploring it. Because that's part of who they are and why they showed up here, right? To deliver that gift in the way that you're delivering now, where you're on stage and you're able to identify the emotions of different characters based off of a script you read and how you want to present that, right? And a subtle movement. I think we talked before offline about how just a simple gesture of your hand can, evoke so much emotion and meaning, right? Just being able to give life through just some of the smallest gestures, and some of those ways of doing it come from an invisible space, come from just, hey, you know what? Do that. Right? Being able to sit in the silence, and just take whatever that is, whatever that energy is, and allow it to channel through you and impact how you show up in the world and how you maneuver. and how you maneuver. I love that. I remember there's a time I used to actually. So one of the times I went to Paris, I used to like to go and just sit and just sit and listen because I think each city, I don't care where you're at, each city has its
Yeah.
own language, right? Has its own energy. And so actually this is a time when I was in Italy and I remember I was just sitting. I used to go sit on this hill in Piazza del Popolo. I used to just sit on the bench by myself. I used to sit there for hours. And this is before I even knew what meditation was. But I used to just sit there because I felt the energy in the city that I just wanted to continue just to kind of soak in. And I think those energies kind of infuse themselves in how we present ourselves, how we just it's just it's a creative force, right? And we take that and we deliver that to ourselves and to other people. It's something beautiful to be able to sit in the silence, to be able to sit in the silence. We talked about in the meditation class. That's where the infinite possibility lies, right? That space between one thought and the next. And in that space, we dive into it and bring the richness of life to right where we are, to right where we are. So that's a powerful spot, a powerful spot. It's awesome. So talk about La Mezcla. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but talk about it. I mean, we talked about some of the initiatives in terms of diversity and inclusion and just how that is how diversity is in terms of theater and arts, particularly in the south of France, and some of the projects that you're working on. Talk about some of the initiatives that you have and what you've been focused
Oh, well, diversity in theater generally there's not so much,
on.
because in the movies it's different. Well, it's not so different because when you see, the persons of people coming from different social places, parts, always it's always the same because being able to 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 speak and to
Hmm.
have people to hear you is a social condition yet, because the majority of people in the world speak and nobody is listening, of course.
Hmm.
So when I began as a, my professional school in of theater in Paris, um I thought, Paris is a city in which there is so much different people coming from all over the world,
Hmm.
and I thought that I would meet more diversity because for me it was obvious everybody was saying is the place to be open and
Yeah.
culture and art, and people have to go to theater to be open minded, and why people don't come to theater to be open minded because
Right.
everybody should go to theater, and so I was like, yes, it's true because theater is just giving, the opportunity to speak,
Yeah.
your
It's the
truth,
arts.
speak
You
your
would.
truth, like
Yeah.
you was saying, like Roger Gabriel was speaking about, you know, to have the strength to speak our truth,
Hmm.
our
Hmm.
reality, not what we have to be because we are a woman, we are black, we are white, we are
Correct.
just, having this, creating this new space saying, okay, I want to speak about that because I'm not just white, I'm
Hmm.
Clementine, you don't
Hmm.
know anything about my life,
Hmm.
and you don't know anything about why I want to be here on stage, and you don't know anything about my stories. You
Hmm.
can see, my body, and there's a big difference between my image and me.
Correct.
And when I began in theater in Paris, I was in, well, I'm talking about 20 years ago. Now it's a little bit different, but for me it's like
Yeah.
it's like waiting too long.
Yeah.
And I was quite the only one, I was the different, and they
Hmm.
told me I had to go to work in my country, and I
Okay.
was French, and we say, what? Because
Yeah.
I was just speaking like that a little bit and saying, well, you was born in South America, we see it. You don't
Okay.
have a French body. they told me that I'm speaking about, you know,
Yeah.
a French body. I told what?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
When you move, you don't have a French body, and but I'm French, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like something very very mad, like being French without being French. That was the problem with my
Mhm.
citizenship, but it happened
Mhm.
in theater. So I didn't understand what they were talking about really, and I
Correct.
had to work so much to understand why. And I had this
Mhm.
problem too because I'm a singer, and you know I was in the school, and they told me, yeah, but your voice, you know, you have like I wasn't like I had a black voice because
Mhm.
I they told me I had a black voice and was singing as a black woman,
Mhm.
and I had, you know, I had a South American body, and they called me for movies, but they were talking, saying, "Oh, there's a problem. You're speaking French." Yeah, of course, I'm speaking
Yeah.
French. I'm French. Yeah, but you have no accent. No, I have no accent because I'm French from all the you know all my
Yeah. You
life,
grew up there.
and
Yeah.
so they wanted to give me, um, you know, roles with
Mhm.
accent, you know, I don't know. It was very, very, very mad, and I decided I had to be director and I had to be playwright, to write
Correct.
roles, not just for me, but you know, and there's no so much no there's not so much diversity, and sometimes when somebody like me comes
Mhm.
here, the
Correct.
majority has to decide to change everything, saying haha, yeah, yeah, I will change everything, I won't speak about all that, my identity, and I will fake because
Yeah.
I know you will give me money, and tomorrow if you want to give me the the role of the stupid girl from South America saying
Yeah.
you know, I
Mhm.
will do that because I know you want that, and
Yeah.
and generally that's what's happening. And so when you say, okay, I want you to work, but I don't want to generate that, because if I'm accepting that, there's no way to change the situation, there's no evolution, because if I do that, if I decided to lose my my dignity,
Correct.
uh who will make the change? Nobody will make this change for me. And
Mhm.
so I decided to say no, but I didn't, in this time I didn't understood that it would be very violent for me, because I began very young, like, yeah, you're big, you're the young star coming,
Mhm.
with talent you will go, you will go far. And very quick, just by being normal, just i I've stayed like without nothing, without.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to go out with directors, and I didn't want them to touch me, because there are
Yeah.
some sexual problems with that in art.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to accept that. And so I stayed alone. So I had to go further and to decide to make my production, to
Correct.
protect my point of view, to
Mhm.
protect um, my dignity, to protect my knowledge, to protect everything, and to create evolution.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to be the
And
change that you wanted to see. You took that the Gandhi phrase and saying
yeah,
and
but
you actually
it's very
embodied it.
difficult because I'm a woman. Everything,
Mhm.
and now what I'm doing, because it's not just woman, black, white, it's everything in life. Human beings are like that. They want, young people talk about old people saying, yeah, old people are bad, and old people are speaking about young people saying, yeah, the music, and and, and the black and the white and the poor and
Mhm.
the rich and the woman and the man, everything is like, you know black and white, and
Mhm.
struggling. And I felt, had to change all my pattern, because
Yeah.
from school we all struggle like that. like thinking that in the world you have two possibilities and no more.
The
But
duality
the
of it, yeah.
reality, yeah, duality, but that's not like that, there's
Infinite.
millions of possibilities.
Mhm.
So I first worked so much on observing what was happening in my life
Correct.
and in my daily life, and after that in my work. And when
Mhm.
I because I'm a teacher and I'm training so much actors, so I was observing how they were creating relationships between them, and how they were judging, and how I was judging.
Yeah.
And I began to change, to try to change the way I was looking at them, understanding more and more and more. And after that, I was able to teach them how to be different and
Mhm.
how to be more, to understand each other in an intelligent point of view, from an intelligent point of view. And you don't have to, you can have your identity, and you don't
Mhm.
have to say, okay, that's my, I'm white, and if I'm white and you're black, I can't love
Mhm.
you. It's
Mhm.
like two things very different. I can
Mhm.
be white and love my identity. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is, but I don't know. I imagine it's not my life, but why not? Why not? But you can feel that, and and to accept that you're different, and point. I don't have to struggle. You don't have to be my enemy. You don't have
Exactly.
to be my friend. I don't have to love you, but I don't
Mhm.
have to kill you. You know
That part. That
and
part.
and this difference between, or you love, or you kill. It's like, and if
Yeah.
I've been working on this space, saying, okay, you know we can live um
In harmony. In
in
harmony.
harmony, or you can
Yeah.
live without too much violence. For me, it's the first step, because
Mhm.
harmony is like, wow.
For some people, that's down the line. So that's a few roads down the
Harmony,
line, right?
it's a
Yeah.
big journey, but just saying,
Yeah.
okay, you've just told that, something very violent, and you had no need to do that. And you could just think it if you want, but there is no need to create more violence just
Correct.
for free,
Mhm.
because it's creating violence for everybody. And now, with quantum physics, we know that every time we think about something inside, or we have an emotion, this energy is just going outside through our bodies, through all the universe, because we feel there is vacuum here, but there's
Mhm.
no. Under a quantum microscope, you see a big energetic web, and what I
Mhm.
think and my energy is just traveling here in the invisible world, and this energy will meet with another energy, and I
Correct.
don't know where. It can be here in France, it can be in New York. Hi. It can be it can be, and I don't know that. So I think, well, I can think what I want, it's my life. No, it's not like that, because
Mhm.
if I what I think is generating energy. And now,
That's
if
right.
we are living in so much fear, hatred, frustration,
Mhm.
it's like a big cloud, it's a black cloud, and we are generating the black cloud. Yes, there are problems, real problems, but
Mhm.
it's not because we will kill everybody that
Mm.
we will resolve the real problem by hatred. And that's the point.
Mhm.
And in my work, I've, I'm working with so much different people, and I'm working with so much institutions, and to try to change from the heart
Yeah.
of power, the vision. And because the first thing is for people to be aware of what's happening, and
That's right.
in general, that's the more difficult.
To raise the
uh,
awareness of it.
yeah, the awareness what's
Mhm.
happening, and that there, because we don't know, we don't know other ways, and
Mhm.
there are not so much people to talk about problems, because so much time people say no, there's no problem. Yeah, I want to be kind.
Yeah.
All blacks are very, very, very nice, and all white people are very nice.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
no problem. We are all the same. It's not true. It's not true.
Hmm.
There are real problems in every place. There are real problems, and to talk about real problems with knowledge and without violence is something I don't really see. And I feel it's like we need so much
Yeah.
places like that,
Just to
to
have conversation. To have conversation, places to have conversation, places to have understanding. I know here in the U.S. we got into a place now where it is very, it feels very contentious, right? It's along the lines of politically, it's if you're a Democrat or Republican,
yeah,
it's just kind of these two different ideologies. We're always kind of like bumping heads and then warring factions within the same, race relations in our country. I mean, you saw 2020. I'm sure that definitely made its way around the world with in terms of social justice, in terms of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, we've gotten to a space where it feels like a powder keg at times, right? Where if it takes one incident and this thing explodes, it explodes. And, I remember a time growing up where, not to say that the 70s and the 60s and the 70s had it all figured out. Not at all. I mean, we've been on this journey for quite a while. But I remember a time where it felt like socially here in the United States, it was easier to talk about race, right? It was easier to talk about race. Now we got this rolling back where, we're banning books that talk about African American history, talk about American history that was done by, African Americans. We're banning books, we're changing the uh, historical facts about slavery. I mean, so there's a lot of things that are going on to kind of recast history to make it acceptable and make people feel comfortable about it. But I remember a time growing up where on sitcoms, we had sitcoms like The Jeffersons or Sanford and Son, where people would talk about race in a manner where you could put some humor on it, right? Where it wasn't so contentious or felt like it was something where it was the elephant in the room, but you can address it in a manner where everybody can just observe it, laugh at it, but also engender a thought to be like, I need to think different about that. I need to think different about that, right? To see and recognize the humanity in everyone and everything. I think right now we've just gotten to a space where it's just like it's so crazy. It's so polarizing. It's so polarizing where we lose track of humanity, of our humanity, the sacred nature of who we are, no matter what your color is. I mean, everybody wants to come here in life, to be here in life, to be prosperous, to be loved and loving, to feel supported, right? To be able to thrive, no matter where we are. And I think different ideologies or different associations or identities that we may, tie ourselves to cause us at times to lose track of that simple thing that we all share. At the end of the day, I don't care what color, what belief or whatever it is. When we lay our head down at night, I know me as a husband, as a father, just as a being, I want to be, I want to feel free, right? At the end of the day, I want to feel free. I want to feel loved, supported, right? Prosperous, creative. Those are the qualities that are inherent to our being. There's nothing external that can do that. I think when we get that inside of us, we're able to give that freely. But that venture, to your point, comes with the shift in the consciousness and our awareness, right? Being able to raise awareness of those internal qualities of each and every one of us that we on the inside have to start naturalizing and tapping into. And then to your point about the quantum field, when we start emanating those qualities out, what we see, it looks different. It looks different, right? Because we're different beings, right? We're different beings. Sometimes we trying to change the world without changing ourselves, right? Like literally, we want to change everybody else, but we don't want to go inside and do our work, right? It's it's part of it. It's part of this journey. It's part of this journey where the things that we want in our life, we actually have to actualize. The things that we want in the world, we have to actualize in our life.
Yeah.
We have to actualize in our life. So salute to you for the work that you're doing and actualizing it in your life, but also raising awareness through theater, through your gifts, all right, to change that planet. Because what's cool is like, you know, go back. We met in, I believe it was in May, and here we are having a conversation about this across, across the Atlantic. You're on one side, I'm on the other side of the ocean, and we're having this conversation.
Be
And
careful the next time we'll be doing a theater with all
yeah,
your community in New York. I'm coming, I'm
hey,
flying.
let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'll be there right there with you. I look forward to that. I look forward to that. That's the beauty of this work. It all started with us saying yes to something that was bigger than ourselves. Like the gift of meditation that we've given ourselves as self-love, right? Is one thing. But to be able to say yes and say, hey, I want to share it. I want to share it. I want to be able to help other people develop a practice. And in saying yes, now we're having this conversation that hopefully expands and we continue to have more conversations. But it's just a powerful thing where this is where we make the ripples. This is where how we change the planet. It's how we change the world. So I thank you. I thank you for your yes. I thank you for the work that you're doing with your organization, for your voice and how you bring life to so many different characters and to so many different people. It's empowering. It's inspirational. Thank you.
Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. So Clementine, we're almost at the end of it. We wrap this up in under an hour. How can the folks get in contact with you and talk about some of the things that you have going on that we can support?
Well, in this moment, I'm doing different. I've created different project, different place, and well, but it, it's difficult for me to translate everything. Like it's like
You've done
you
phenomenal,
know,
by the way.
I'm
If I had to
suffering a
do this
little
in
bit.
French, we'd be in trouble.
I'm singing. I'm singing in some project. Luz de Luna,
Moonlight,
Moonlight,
right? Yeah, yeah.
and it's a way to tell the story of South America and more colonization through songs I love because it's my culture too, and but avoiding the image of exotism, and I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to to be simple talking about culture because when people travel generally to South America and Africa, it's a little bit the same. They are thinking about going to the sea and dancing salsa. I don't know, and
Mm-hmm.
going to the beach and the sand
You don't get
and
the everyday feel though.
sexual
That's the
affairs.
Yeah, you want the
And
the kind of canned feeling. That's the one thing with traveling for me is where I like the go sightseeing. That's cool. But what I want to do, I like riding the bus to see how people go to work in the morning. I like taking the train. I like just watching. I want to see how you show up like every day. Like those because that's how I get a pulse and an understanding of what a place really is. I want to go somebody's house to eat some dinner, and just to really get a touch point. Not to say that I just been there, but I've been there. Like I understand how it moves, what the energy feels like for someone who is from that space, right? Or is located there on a basis. So I know what you're talking about when you go to a place and kind of exoticize it and you just, you go take some pictures.
yeah,
You
you
take
take
some pictures, get a
pictures, but
t-shirt.
moreover, in this case, it's like very important for me because you're talking about the problem of races and to be able
Mhm.
to be. But I think in this moment we feel we have to talk about the reality of history and the shadow of
Mhm.
uh, of this history, and there is something that needs to be told, and if the power don't want to speak about that, saying okay, it happened,
Mhm.
it's happening now, but
Yeah.
please could we do something else now, but they don't want to do that, and that's the moment because for me a country, a race needs healing like a person, it's
You're
the
absolutely right.
same, and it's the same. And you're talking about meditation and be able to meet and love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you love yourself, meet yourself, if you can't talk about your social story, your history, your
That's right.
ancestors, and you are not all your history. You are
That's right.
different, but you are also your history. And I feel,
Mm-hmm.
to be free and creative,
Mm-hmm.
as I'm trying to do. I know that it's because I really know my story.
That's right.
Like I could understand what I was trying to do in my unique gift. But I'm just everything. We are all connected. We are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
So you can think you will be free just
Mm-hmm.
alone here, because when you come back, you come back to school, or you come back to your job, and you see that you're black, you're white, you're a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and that nothing changed, and it's difficult. So I think you need to make a personal journey, to have the strength to talk about the social pattern,
Yes.
without violence, without generating the violence, because it's for me, forgiving, it's very difficult when you are the victim, because you are the victim, you
Mm-hmm.
know very
Mm-hmm.
difficult. And you can't do that just because you decided. You have to make all the journey. And you asked me my to tell you who my heroes
Oh
are.
yeah, yeah. It's good. Let's get into that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
and
Let's jump into it now.
I thought, well, it's difficult to say that, because i
So
I
let's do
was,
this. Let's tee it up like this. So
yeah,
we'll
but I
do.
was thinking about Mandela. It's my, for me, it's I was about to say it's my father. It's very strange. It's not my father. Mandela is not my father. Clem, it's not like that. But I feel that I feel when I think about this person and what he did, for me, it's always a very big example to forgiveness, to
Mm-hmm.
show, because it's one thing to say, yeah, I forgive you, but to be this person, and to be able to be the friend of the person that wanted to kill you,
Yeah.
and do it really,
Truly.
it's some kind of incredible example. And I've in my difficult moments, times of hatred, because I
Yeah.
lived that.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought about him, saying, wow, you know forgiveness is something very creative creative,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something, it's all a journey.
Yeah. 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 No, that's exact. He's the embodiment of forgiveness. If I think of that, what forgiveness would look like as a being, I would think of Nelson Mandela would come to mind. And I think in that forgiveness, they say all forgiveness is self forgiveness. It's for yourself, right? And that's what kept him free from not hating, from not walking around with that hatred. You can't walk around with hatred in your heart and be truly free. And so for him forgiving, that's that's how you get to that space. That's how you can get to that space where you can transcend the conditions. You don't ignore them, right? But being able to forgive allows you to walk around and not have that hatred in your heart where you just continue to inflict violence, or kind of keep that circle of violence going. Keep that circle of violence going. So that's
Yeah,
one.
yeah, it took the power too, because for me, forgiveness is, you can do that without taking some power. And he could forgive, but he wanted to be in charge of something important, because he knew he could use this energy,
Yeah.
to change something very powerful. Because I think it's difficult to forgive if you don't decide to change something after that, to as I told you, I wanted to be a professional of difference because I've
Mm-hmm.
suffered so much about that,
Yeah.
so it was my way to forgive and to take power, because I couldn't just forgive and be the one, and knowing that the situation would be the same, because now as a professional of difference,
Mm-hmm.
people won't they won't treat me the same, because when
Correct.
I'm here they know that I will talk about relationships, about understanding violence. So I'm not uh, when I'm here is to create something interesting. It's not to generate violence. It's not to be a victim.
Mm-hmm. It's
A new
different.
space for me, and I think Mandela thought that as a president, it was like he created a new space, a new space. It was not just the black, politic.
Mm-mm. It's
He had
different.
more power to change everybody, and
Mm-hmm.
he understood that if he wanted to be the president of everybody,
Oh. Yep.
yeah, he had to go further, to be better, because he
Indeed.
knew what was discrimination,
Exactly.
you know and when I'm working on diversities, I have to be better in my job than in my life, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes uh you when you're working with so much diversity, sometimes you hear things
Mm-hmm.
very difficult for you, for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to go to accept that, say, yeah, of course you can say that. If I want to be free, if I want to have my own space of
Mm-hmm.
freedom, I have to accept yours, even when sometimes it's difficult for me to hear that, you
Mm-hmm.
know and it's like, for me, you have to take some to create something, to be able to forgive really deeply, to because this energy has to live somewhere,
Yeah.
and
You cut that cord. You cut
yeah,
that cord of being a victim, or cut that cord that somebody did something to me and they owe me something,
yeah,
right? And you forgive that person, you set yourself free, but then you go back and you stand, to your point about Mandela, you stand in your power and your authority. It's no longer being subservient or held captive by
yeah,
what happened. It's like, no, you reclaim that energy is not stuck, right? You're forgiving, you're releasing yourself of of that story of what happened, of that experience, and then you're cutting that cord to set that person free. That I'm not going to walk around, and the summation of my life will be that particular, event or experience or grievance that I have with that being, or whatever it is. And then you reclaim your power and your authority. You stand on it. You stand on it. That's what Mandela was able to do. Was able to stand on it and have a bigger vision.
yeah.
Bigger vision. See yourself differently. See yourself differently. That's powerful. So we're doing your top five. Your top five, uh, call it
Well, it was
inspirational
well
leaders or
thinking
influencers.
about us. I thought about Norbert Zongo. You know him?
No.
He is from Burkina Faso. Burkina
Burkina
Faso.
Faso. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and he lived as a journalist, and he was very famous in the 12th century.
Okay.
And he said, "You don't free a man frees himself." And he was a very famous journalist, but they killed him
Mm.
because he had created a media called The Independent,
Okay.
because he wanted his country to be free from the power, and there had so much problems with the president, and so
Mm-hmm.
much corruption, and he was a leader of integrity and justice. And you can find extracts, parts of what he did, and he wrote
Mm-hmm.
books. Norbert is like Norbert, Norbert.
Okay. Yep.
Norbert. Zongo, Zongo.
Okay.
And well,
Burkina Faso.
my first play, which is called La Voyageuse, the
The
traveler girl.
Travelers. Travel
And
Girl.
the
Yeah.
traveler, yeah, I mean, it's a girl, that's why. Well, yeah, in the first page there's this phrase: if you don't free a man frees himself. You know, because
Wow.
we are always waiting for, for example, as a woman, uh, women are waiting for men to come one day saying, "Forgive me," and I open your door. But the majority don't want that, and they won't do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Or when you have no much money, and you're very good in your job, and you're
Mm-hmm.
waiting for somebody to give you the
Yeah.
promotion, and you see that
Mm-hmm.
you're so good, but the money is never for you. In my case, I see that. And and uh, and you're there, and you're meeting production, and they know
Mm-hmm.
you, and you're waiting for something, and they don't want to open the door because they don't want you to have this power, because
Mm-hmm.
they want to lie, and they want to have the money, more money, and to have
Mm-hmm.
more money they want you to disappear. That's
Mm-hmm.
the reality. So we are always waiting for somebody to see that we are
Mm.
waiting for that. But in the majority of the cases it never happens.
Nah, it's not gonna come that way.
So he was saying that, he was saying you have to create your power, not
Mm-hmm.
struggling against the others, but just the others, if you they can use you to be better, okay, but you are here to for us to feel better. And if you want to do something else with your own life, saying I want to live for my own life, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just your thing your thing your I want more for my life,
That's right. That's right.
and in this moment the other won't help you.
Mm-hmm. Clementine's a revolutionary. Not here to just bow down to the status quo, but to create a lasting change that's more expansive than the current, system that we're moving in. Something that is more aligned with the truth of our being, right? With the truth of our being. I can see the breadcrumbs from from your parents, and right, just here to revolutionize the way that we love, the way that we show up here. That's
I'm
what.
more for evolution, because I know that revolution, you know you can't change everything like that just because you're very tired of the world. And
Mm-hmm.
what's happening now. We are all very
Mm-hmm.
tired, and we want everything to change now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that. Evolution is something very, very slow,
It takes
very
time.
deep. And
Mm-hmm.
and there's no violence in evolution. you know for me
Because
it's a difference I chose, because of course I
experience is different.
yeah, I chose
Mm-hmm.
another pattern, because I think evolution is more real.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can go through evolution, everybody can do that, can go a step further, everybody can do that. And creating just that, it's so much, because we are all, we're all living together. But if
Mm-hmm.
you want everybody to be like that now, it's dictatorship. I know that.
Yeah, that change start. Like I said, it starts within yourself.
Yeah,
If you want to change the world, change you. Change you first. That's what happens, and then what you'll see, we'll start to see something different. You
yeah. It's
start to see
difficult to
something different.
understand that. I
Hmm.
think, because when I hear that a few years ago, I was very angry listening to these phrases. You have to change yourself, okay, but there's a reality. And now I understand more, and I think we have to do both. Like,
Hmm.
if you want to generate new situations, you have to
Hmm.
generate new patterns inside,
Indeed.
because we are doing always the same. We're doing always the same, and we are thinking the same inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are thinking inside the same, we are doing outside the same, and we think, oh, we want that to change, but we are not able to change our vision, our inner vision.
Correct.
And that's difficult to create new spaces, new ways, new,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what is meditation for me. It's like saying I will open the door and I don't know what can happen there.
Yeah.
I'm ready to change something. I know there's a new space here, and I
Correct.
can create a new pattern, but I don't even know what. I'm
Looking
open.
at. Mm-hmm. Just being open to that infinite possibility.
Mm,
Open to that infinite possibility. Trusting into that uncertainty.
mm,
Trusting in that uncertainty. Like here's, I think a lot of times we get into a space and we'll get into a space of uncertainty and think that negative things are happening, or we can think that it's a space of infinite possibility for more good to show up in our life, right? Like that's there's a difference in that in the way that we perceive it. For me, in meditation, you just sit in that space and observe and observe. And I think what your perspective is determines how you interact in that space into that. Is it infinite possibility or is it doom and gloom? Right? Is it paranoia where I'm in this space and I don't know what's happening? Is it paranoia like, oh my God, something is negative is about to happen? Or is it pronoia like, oh man, something is good is about to show up in my life? I think that's where when we meditate and we sit in that space, we tap into that ability to just be open to it, to be receptive to it. So
yeah,
it's a
to get
beautiful.
personal inspiration, because everybody is, with social media, as everybody is talking every time to say nothing.
Yeah.
And we are full of shit is what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do anything because you will have social media saying you don't have to do it. Everybody is talking too much, but without knowledge, without intelligence, without creativity. And it's good to, if you want to create a new space, you have to choose what you want to listen to. It's very important because you have to create a new space, and you have to decide what you don't want to listen to. If you want
Yeah.
to evolution, you can listen to all the people that will tell you you can't do that. you know
Mm-hmm. The
because you need
naysayers.
some energy to do that. To make a change, you need some energy. You have to be concentrated.
I need an
And
intention.
yeah.
I have an intention. What is your intention? What is your intention? Mm, that's powerful. All right, so we got two of your top five. Give me three more. Give me three more historical
Well, I
figures
was
or
well.
inspiration.
I was thinking about, well, of course, Deepak Chopra in this
Ah.
moment, and because for 20, yeah, I first read one book like, yeah, 20 years ago, and for me it was very incredible, because he has he comes from diversities to Deepak Chopra from India,
Mm-hmm.
United States. Well, he comes from India and lived in United States. Just he studied in United States and he stayed here. But what I loved is that, like, he wanted to create a new knowledge, but sharing the you know the knowledge of India, of Indian health, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, of modern science. And generally there are so much wars there. In the vision, you have to heal. The
Mm-hmm.
healers are just struggling the same, that black and white and everything. And it chose to create peace in
Yeah.
healing. And for me it was very, very inspiring, because it's what I love, it's my journey. And I know it's very difficult to do that, because when you see the Western medicine and the way they think about
Yeah.
life, and Ayurveda, the old ancient science of health,
Mm-hmm.
it's very different,
It is.
and being able to create a team with people open-minded
Mm-hmm.
and very, very professionals,
Mm-hmm.
and to show this new image, saying we don't have to create a war here. We can work together to create a third knowledge
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
That's la mezcla. That's when, yeah, because he could know differences, and
Mm-hmm.
just he took the best of everything, and explaining and teaching
Yes.
all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very, very, for me, it's an incredible work, and I know it it's very difficult to do that,
Yeah.
and because there are so much prejudices, and in health, social groups and doctors, and
Mm-hmm.
it can be very violent, and I feel he had to, you know he has to be very good to
Yeah.
do what he's doing.
He's a great teacher. Uh, just he gives the best of both worlds, right? The teaching
Yeah,
aspect of it, the scientific aspect of it. I mean, he's able to kind of the spiritual aspect of it. I mean, it's just he brings it all together in such a way where I think he has a unique ability to meet people from all different walks of life, and you find that one aspect where it just kind of it rings in your ear, and you can't unhear it. You can't unhear it. He was the first person that I ever meditated, listened to one of his guided meditations, and at that time I had no clue what meditation was, but I heard him speak, and when he spoke, I heard something in that just resonated with me. I don't know, it was his
yeah,
his frequency. It was a level of peace that he had,
yeah,
and I was like, I don't know what it is, but I got to get that.
yeah. For me, it's
So
the
that
same.
inspired me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has something very simple and
Yeah.
very special, and that's what I love. That is living in the real life, and I can feel it. It's
Mhm.
not just you have to be
No, no,
cool, and
no,
he
it's
really
not.
knows reality too, and he can create bridges between reality and spirituality, because he knows really what it is.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very inspiring,
Yeah.
and I'm very happy to know more about all what he's doing now. And for
Mhm.
me, it's a great example.
Mhm.
And after that, I would say, well, theater authors, because I'm an
Mhm.
actress for a long time, and
Yeah, yeah.
theater is a magic place to discover inspiration. So I really love Shakespeare. It's
Shakespeare. Mhm.
very modern. When they try to make movies with the stories of Shakespeare, it's very modern.
Mhm.
Um, it was very connected, as very to spirituality, and
Absolutely.
it's very nice. I don't know if you know the story of Hamlet. Everybody knows the Scarlet, but and just speaking about justice, and
Mhm.
trying to restore justice in the
To
kingdom,
be.
and being alone to know the truth.
Mhm.
So Shakespeare is very spiritual, and very funny too, very human, and
Mhm.
it's very, very nice. And there's so much. Well, for me, it's a big, big master, and
Especially for
I
theater.
love. uh,
As I said, especially for theater. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything different. I
of
wouldn't expect
course,
anything
yeah,
different, right?
and I've studied so much Russian literature too, because I was speaking Russian. Well, I have to speak Russian, but I forgot a little. But
Leo
the
Tolstoy, yeah.
Russian,
Tolstoy is
yeah,
another one, yeah.
Russian theater is very famous, and they are so good.
Mhm.
So there are big authors like Dostoevsky, Chekhov,
Mhm.
um, and they have a very special way to see reality, and
Mhm.
they are very. and South America too. There are so much ways to describe reality through theater,
Correct.
because all and well, so I wanted to talk about theater because and
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to talk to you about, of course, my parents and all the friends of my parents, and
Yeah.
after that, all the people I've met, because in my real life,
Hmm.
I'm working with so much not famous people, but heroes,
Yeah.
because in our everyday lives, and struggling, everybody is struggling in this place, and
Hmm.
I feel I would like to give the to give voice to so much invisible people, to
Come on now.
share, to show what they do, what they think, because they are so inspiring. And in the majority of cases, famous people are not really the more interesting. Sometimes, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but being famous, I know that is my job. Is like a job. Being famous now, you can show your ass on the screen, and you're famous because you have 1 million person saying I love your ass. But I won't do that now. But it would be very easy for me,
Hmm.
and very quick. You know, but when you
Hmm.
choose to speak about something else,
Powerful issues. Yeah.
it's not the same. So being famous, and being professional, being just trying to have ethics,
Yeah.
and to be present in the real world, and not saying, oh yeah, we would have to do that. There are so much people doing that in our everyday lives, and
That's right.
generally nobody want to help them. And I'm
Yeah.
talking about small neighbors, I'm talking about schools, I'm talking about hospitals, I'm talking about public spaces,
Hmm.
and it's important to for people to know that all these
That's
person need so much help in their everyday life, and people to say it's important. I see what you're doing. I need you.
yeah.
I need your presence. I need your intelligence. I need your knowledge, because
Hmm.
you know
That's the news. That's the real news. That's the real news. That should be broadcast everywhere. There's a lot of people out here doing some very powerful work that is changing our planets, changing our communities, and
yeah,
they do not get the attention as something else that would be, like I say, if it bleeds, it leads, right? That's one of those sayings here in the U.S. where if it's a story of horror or murder
yeah,
or just the crazy stuff, that's going to be at the top of the news. But what about the organizations that are doing work? What about the individual people that said, you know what? I've seen something and I have a gift to give and I'm going to give that gift to meet the need. Like that's just everyday people showing up and serving. That should be the news. That should be a station called the Good News, and we just broadcast that. Just broadcast that 24/7, twenty
yeah,
four 7, because there's a lot of folks that are doing work. That's the
yeah,
truth. That is the
yeah,
truth. That's awesome. Awesome. So you're four. You had Mandela. You had, and correct me if I get the name wrong. Is it Norbert Zongo?
yeah.
And we have Deepak Chopra. We got Shakespeare. That's four. Give me one more. You got one more?
And
Give
I'll
me
tell
top
you,
five.
real people. We've just talked
Speak.
about that.
No, every
Real
day.
people of my
Everyday
daily life
people.
have no name.
I love
It's
it.
like,
Every day. So those are the light
yeah,
workers.
yeah.
Everyday people.
I feel uh, when you because when you hear really what people say in your everyday life, and you don't say, well,
Mhm.
I don't listen to you because you are no, 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 or oh, I listen to you because you're famous, no, I
Mhm.
just want to hear what you're saying and feel if it's
Yeah.
interesting or not, even if you're
Mhm.
famous, if you're rich or not, what you are, and not where you come from.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to work like that from so much time, and
Mhm.
from a long time, and it's like it makes a difference, because you can give your energy in your everyday life to the people you see, oh yeah, it's an incredible person. Yeah,
Mhm.
I want to give, I want to help this person, and I don't want to see this channel with famous, I don't know who,
Yeah.
stupid, and
Mhm.
he won't help me, he won't help my life, he won't do anything interesting,
Mhm.
and I will give him money to make nonsense, So
Mm-hmm.
I feel we can choose in our everyday life to be very, very careful
All right.
to all the people around, and understanding that we can make big changes just by avoiding to give energy, money, and time to all the
Mm-hmm.
person that are destroying our lives,
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
and that's a
Guarding.
big step. It's a big, big step.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Guarding our
convinced,
consciousness. Yeah. Guarding our consciousness, that's I think we had talked about that before offline, or you even mentioned it earlier in terms of everything. When we hear things, how it changes us at a cellular level, right? The things that we eat, how we ingest foods, we eat food, and that changes our cells, and our cells change us like every 30 some odd days, right? And the information that we get changes and informs our biology. And so how important it is to guard the gates of our conscious mind, right? Being very discerning and prudent in terms of what we allow to have access to our mind, right? Because it goes across our awareness, and maybe we latch on to it, right? And start ruminating about it and start thinking more about it. And then all of a sudden we start to experience it, right? So why not be more watchful over the things that we consume, both, as food, but also as thoughts and entertainment and stuff like that. So that's a great point. A great point. Invest in those things that are going to allow us to grow, allow us to experience a life that we want to experience. That feels
yeah,
good. That feels good. That's awesome. That is awesome. Everyday people,
yeah,
everyday people doing extraordinary things.
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I love it. I love it. My sister Clementine. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. We did it. We
Thank
did
you.
it.
Yeah,
We did it.
yeah, it's very
It's good.
nice.
It is. It is. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Your wisdom.
Wisdom, it's a big, well, I don't know.
Oh, stop. No, it is. Look.
Experienced.
Experience can bring wisdom. Can bring wisdom. Bring
Yeah,
wisdom. Brings wisdom. No, it's absolutely an honor and a privilege to have this conversation with you. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for you saying yes, not just to be here and have this conversation, but overall for the
yeah,
impact that you're making in France, for the impact that you're making in theater, for the impact you're having here on me. This is a beautiful conversation, and hopefully not the last.
yeah. No,
There we go. Here we go.
it's the
Thank you so
beginning.
much. Yes, the beginning, the very beginning, the very beginning. So there will be more. Thank you. I appreciate you. I love you, my sister, and continue
Well, thank
blessings.
you.
Anything else? Anything else before we go? I want to close it out because if you got something else to share, I want to definitely leave the space for it.
Um, no,
I love it.
I think I've talked too much, and I'm trying to translate everything, and my English is like tired.
Hey, you did a fantastic job. I'm thankful for you. You did a great job. Like I said, it would be a whole together different conversation if I had to do it in French.
The
So
next
it's
time.
the next time, if I sound like gibberish, I have to use some captions. My sister, thank you so much. I love you. Appreciate you.
Thank
Blessings
you.
now. Already.
See you. Ciao.